Welcome to another episode of Fight the Burnout. Today we have a very good friend of mine, and I love the fact that he's drinking a beer right now. I'm having a rum. It is late at night, and we're having lots of fun, but we've known each other for 15,
18.
15
No,
years. I've been in the country 16 years, so it was 2006. 2006 we met, and it's 2021, so we're looking at 15 years now. We went to university together, met in the halls of residence, and got up to way too much trouble. So this should be a very fun and interesting episode. So if you want to have a laugh, continue listening. If you want to hear a lot of shit talking, continue listening. If you don't, continue listening anyways. So Bradley, so I know Bradley from back in 2006 when we went to university together. You were doing culinary school, weren't you?
Yeah, diploma in culinary arts.
Yeah, you're doing diploma in culinary arts. I was doing my first semester in engineering, which I never ended up going down the road of. And we used to start our Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights with a box of beer. So this episode is going to be fun. So Bradley's gone on. We lost touch for a little while. Then we kind of got back into touch. He's gone through ups and downs through things just like I have. So Bradley, tell us a little bit about your backstory, kind of lead up to where you are now and what you're doing now as well.
So at the moment, I'm currently a winemaker for a company called Pernod Ricard. Before that, I've been in the hospitality industry for forever. Like when even you and I first started getting together, I was working at Vez Bar at AUT. But I was also working in other nightclubs. And eventually, when I turned 20, I enlisted into the New Zealand Army. Mm-hmm. And from there, I enlisted as a chef and carried on for 5.5 years. Yeah, 5.5 years. And I left and went back into hospitality. Carried on. Ironically, I went back to Vez Bar with Zane. Zane's a very good friend of mine, and we still keep in touch. And we even helped a friend of ours, Aaron, open a Mexican restaurant down in Mission Bay, Dos Amigos. Yeah, really good Mexican food down there.
That is true.
And I carried on that way. Ended up in Waiheke Island for a bit. Ended up down the Viaduct as well, opening new bars. And eventually, I just said I've had enough. So I moved to Blenheim to learn a new trade on how to make wine.
That's pretty cool. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So obviously, lots of different journeys and different stuff that's been going on. So before we go really much further, I like to identify what people actually define as burnout for themselves, because everybody defines it as different things. I know that everybody goes through it in different levels every day, every week, every month, every year. But then we also have our deep levels. But Bradley, what would you define burnout as for yourself?
For me, I mean, burnout is mainly in hospitality that I'd feel a burnout. There was one bar I worked for. I won't name them because I still get along with the owners there really well. I worked 28 days straight, and I was starting at 12 o'clock, like lunchtime, and I was working until 2 o'clock in the morning every day. And I was still coming back and doing it. So it wasn't more of a physical fatigue, but it was more of a mental. I mean, my partner at the time was just hating me for ages, and I just couldn't break that cycle because I had so much passion for my job. Yeah. But the mental fatigue was taking its toll. It was taking its toll on me and our relationship.
What when you say it was taking, like when you say in the mental fatigue, what was actually going on?
So I was more focused on my job than actually taking care of, one, myself, and two, our relationship. It wasn't a healthy relationship with us. I mean, her and I, we still talk, and she's back in England now, but it was just not a good place to be at the time.
Yeah, gotcha. So that mental fatigue where you're just not taking care of yourself, you're not taking care of the ones closest to you, and you're focused on external stuff. Was it a distraction, the external stuff, or was it that you
Yeah,
loved
it
it so
was.
much?
It was a distraction because I'd get home and like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be worried about the next day. So I'd be like, "Oh, we need X amount of wine," and I'd be like, "Okay, cool." So I'd get home and even for 2 hours, I'd be sitting on a laptop ordering wine, and I'd be working for an extra 2 hours.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. So, yep, no, I can get that, especially in hospitality. How'd you find, before we go into like tools and stuff, how'd you find this year with COVID? Because when did you move from the bars to Blenheim?
I actually moved in June 2019.
Oh, okay. So you've been down.
Yeah, before lockdown.
Yeah, so you've been down there for COVID. Has the whole COVID affected you guys down there?
Yeah, I couldn't go to the pub for a drink, which was a bit pissed me off a little bit, and it cancelled a whole lot of the rugby season as well, which annoyed me even more.
Yeah, because you're
And
usually passionate about rugby.
Yeah,
I know that you always have been.
yeah. But no, because unfortunately, winemaking. Well, it's not unfortunately. Winemaking is an essential work because wine is the second biggest export of New Zealand.
That's true.
So every winery was like, in Blenheim, I know, was fighting the government to say, "Hey, look, we have millions and $1 million worth of fruit. If it doesn't get picked, doesn't get processed, it's just going to be lost."
Yeah.
And from memory, I think it's about $1.6 billion of exports.
Wow.
I think. Don't quote me on that one. I think it's just
It'll be somewhere.
I heard. Yeah, somewhere along the lines, I heard $1 billion, and I was like, oh, "Okay,
yeah,
cool."
Yeah, cool, sweet.
Yeah.
So we keep moving. Have you found it affects you guys with like getting staff or anything like that currently?
This year, yes, because of the visas and everything. Everyone because we usually have an influx of overseas travellers.
Yeah.
I mean, this year we have probably the biggest. I've been told we're the biggest Kiwi contingency ever. So we usually hire during vintage and harvest season, we hire about 100 people.
Yeah.
To help process grapes and wine and do fermentations and stuff like that. This year, it's a massive Kiwi contingency. We have 23 Kiwis.
Wow.
Which is huge because last year we had one. Casual staff member. Permanent staff members, I think there's about 5 or 6 of us that are Kiwis. But last year during vintage, we had one. Yeah. So this year we've got 23. We're like, oh, well, someone actually wants to do some work.
So obviously, Bradley, you've gone through a lot of stuff like since we used to hang out all the time and do lots of crazy, stupid stuff. That's why I learned to, dance on a stripper pole and pulled it out on my honeymoon. And my wife was like, "Where did you learn to dance on a stripper pole?" I was like, "Ask Bradley."
You cannot blame me for that. You did it yourself.
Hey,
You're always doing it yourself.
I did. But I'm just naturally good at a stripper pole.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all about having a good time and making sure that you don't take yourself too seriously so you don't burn out.
I may have encouraged you a few times going, "Oi, go dance on the pole."
Yeah, you may have just a couple. But hey, this is why we're still good friends to this day.
Yeah, exactly.
So over the years, obviously you've gone a lot. I know hospitality just from knowing a few other people in hospitality that are chefs, and that, man, it can be an overworked, stressful job, just like law enforcement, overtime constantly, late hours, weird shifts. So obviously you've done a lot with that. So what have you learned around the burnout side of stuff to help yourself now, and even, during it, to help prevent yourself or even overcome, going through burnout yourself?
From even when I was a chef, I was like doing 16 hours a day, and I'll never go back to doing that now. But now I've taken a bit of time off now, and I know that you need to look after yourself. I mean, I joined a gym this year for some god awful reason.
I probably influenced that.
A little bit, but the hospitality industry is quite a toxic industry. Like, not by toxic, it's very alcohol and drug related. I mean, Gordon Ramsay actually said a thing really good, that we're like the secret service of the industry, like chefs were. We could sit there and be like absolute rock stars during the day, but then we sit there and get absolutely nutted after work until 3-4 o'clock in the morning, which I have done, and turn up to work at 5-6 o'clock in the morning still pissed.
Yeah.
And you just absolutely burnt out after another shift like that. You start at 5 in the morning, you're still drunk, and then you finish at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and you're hungover and you're just completely burnt out.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people, and I know in the industry, and I have done that before, once you finish work, you start drinking again.
Yeah.
So alcohol was used as a tool to combat that burnout, which is not a healthy way to do it.
No, it's not. As we speak, having a drink.
As we speak, we're having a drink.
But it's all about, and I think that's a good thing to talk about. Actually, it's all about balance. I think life is all about balance. You got to have some fun. You know, you and I right now, we're catch up before we even started recording. You know, this is our way of having a drink together on the other sides of the country. You know, as us catching up, having a drink. It's, you know, it's 7:20 at night. You know, we're catching up. But it's all about balance. But it's also that whole thing of knowing your limits, but like you said, taking care of yourself. So if you could go back and teach yourself something back, say, when you're in your mid to late, you know, mid 20s, what would you want to teach yourself?
It's a deep and meaningful, that one. Probably, I mean, pretty much, even when I was in the army, I mean, I wouldn't drink too much during the week, but it was like it was after rugby, I'd probably drink a bit too much. Probably just put down the beer and just go home. Just go home, make yourself a nice dinner and just relax at home. I mean, even on like field exercises and stuff I'd go away for 3 weeks at a time and I'd come home, and because there's no drinking on field exercises or training exercises, and I'll just come home and I'll just put away a box of beer and hour and a half, 2 hours.
What would you have preferred, like looking back on it, what would you wish you had done differently? Like instead of that box of beer, what would be something that would be more constructive?
Hot shower, a decent meal, and just go to bed. Because you smell like absolute dog shit.
This is true.
If you're on a training exercise in like the middle of Waiotu and there's not many showers around there, especially if you're on like a weapons training exercise, there's not many showers that you can have, so you smell like crap.
Yeah. What do you do now to take care of yourself to prevent yourself from going through burnout?
Well, at the moment, I've joined the gym, which is great. So at the moment, I'm going to the gym last week was a bit of a messed up week because we've just launched a new artificial intelligence system, which I've been heavily involved with. So
cool.
That was quite stressful. So I didn't make it to the gym. I only made it to the gym twice last week, but I just go to the gym. I'm refereeing touch now as well. So that's 2 nights a week. Hence why I'm doing it tonight, not Thursday night, because I forgot touch was on a Thursday night.
Touch is one of those things. Touch is one of those things that's self-care for you, isn't it?
Yeah. So I look at that as like, okay, cool. It's pre-season training for me. So rugby starts Easter, and touch will go till before harvesting starts. So I'll be like, that's a good way for me to just do my own sprint training and stuff like that, which is good. Cool.
So it's pretty much just going to you're starting to do a bit of the gym work. You got your touch, which I know you've done for as long as I've known you.
No. I've only started touch this year.
Oh no, sorry. Normal rugby, reffing rugby. You've done reffing of rugby for
15 years.
Yeah. As long as I've known you.
Yeah, I'm old now.
I still remember, rugby games would be on. You'd be like, Chris, where's your rugby shirt? And I'd be like, I don't have one. You'd be like, cool, there's one in my room. And I'd be like, where? And you're like, on the floor on the left underneath this. It's a guy thing. So for all those women listening, When the guys
On the
have things
floor.
everywhere, they do know where everything is. I still remember to this day Bradley telling me to go get the Hurricanes jersey. I was like, "Where is
No,
it?"
it wasn't her. It was the Blues.
Oh, sorry, Blues. My bad. And it's like, go get that jersey, grab it. I was like, where is it? He's like, it's underneath the red shirt that's on the left, just next to my bed. I was like, oh yeah, on the floor. And he's like, yeah, it's clean. Don't worry. And so literally went up there. It was right there. So guys know where their stuff is. You might not think it.
Yeah.
So okay, cool. So you got that. So you obviously used to manage one of the bars down in Viaduct, didn't you?
I did a couple of bars in the Viaduct. Last one I managed was Headquarters, which is an amazing bar. I wouldn't happily go back, but the boss will definitely have me back if I said, oh, well, after I was Waiheke Island, I said to him, so, will you take me back? And he goes, in a heartbeat. And he's even tried to get me back. I was up in Christmas and he goes, oh, I heard you're in Auckland. And I was like, yeah. He goes, can you come work? And I was like, no.
Yeah, boundaries, man.
No way.
Boundaries.
Oh, no, I was just like, oh, I just spent 5 days up on my parents' farm. And I was like, nah, I don't want to go to town. I didn't want to do anything. I was just like, nah.
Yeah, that self-care, man. So
yeah, I did a bit of pew-pew therapy. So
yeah,
which was great fun.
So obviously you've ran a team before. What is it that you would recommend to people that run teams to help make sure that their staff don't burn out, especially in hospitality? Because as we've discussed, hospitality can be real bad. So if you could shift the way that hospitality is done, in an ideal world, you were able to come in and shift it however you wanted it. What would you do for the team that works underneath you?
For hospitality, I mean, the trick is not to burn them out. Like, I go back to working 28 days straight, and I was just completely burnt out after about 14 days. But I just kept going because it was just a mental. I'm in it. I can just keep going. I can keep going. But I was completely burnt out. But hospitality, you have to motivate your staff. You have to give them incentives.
Yeah.
And you can't overwork them. I mean, I think, my 30th birthday, I was working at Headquarters, and I was supposed to finish at 4:00, and it was 8:00 by the time I finished. Yeah. And I was just completely burnt out.
Well, if you could do anything, like wave a magic wand, what would you do to help prevent that so they don't get burned out?
Hire more staff.
Hire more staff. Right.
Well, I mean, that's the easy fix. That's the easiest to fix. But it's also finding the people that are competent enough and skilled enough to work in the industry. I mean, it's easy enough to carry a couple of plates, but it's hard. I mean, the majority of hospitality is actually selling booze. It's selling booze to people and trying to convince them to upsell. So you got to have that staff that can go, don't buy the house wine, buy this.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, the house wine is a cheap $25 bottle of Marlborough Sav. Why not drink this awesome $50 bottle of Marlborough Sav? Yeah. Which we don't drink Sav in Marlborough because it's horrible. Not going to drink it.
Yeah. So in other words, what you're saying is that, in order to actually, in a way, get better performance in hospitality and get better, have a better performing restaurant, would be to have better quality of staff that can then perform better, which then in turn means that you're not getting burned out because you're not having to push as hard. You're not having to actually go as hard because your quality of staff and the purpose and they're driven to actually do it. So they're actually enjoying those, days. And then you can actually even cut down the hours that you have to be open because you're actually doing.
Yeah, exactly. Your quality of staff means that they can also, obviously the busy periods, they can smash that out completely, which is amazing. But then once dinner's over, they can just bugger off and do whatever they want to do. Which is great as well. But then when you walk outside and they're still drinking at 2:00 in the morning, you're like, wait, you're working at 12:00, go home.
Yeah. It's also that self-care and getting that rigid self-care regime in there as well. Interesting. So, okay. So Bradley, I'm a huge why guy. If you haven't seen, obviously in the last few years, I've become quite a massive why guy. I like to know people's why, like what makes them tick, why they tick, why they do everything they do, why you do rugby. That my why is I don't want to see other people in pain. You know, if I actually take it, it actually stems back to my childhood of my, you know, seeing my parents fight. They weren't nasty fighting, but just seeing them fight. And then it kind of kept going forward, seeing a train crash. I didn't want to see the people in pain. That's why I joined the police, so on and so forth, carries on. That's why I do what I do now. That's why this got started. So, brother, what would you say would be your why that gets you through the tough times, but also makes the easy times even easier?
I mean, my why times is, well, my exit is rugby. I mean, I love rugby to bits. I mean, I've been refereeing for 15 years. I don't get paid a cent to do it.
Yeah.
I don't care. That's my exit. In the summer, I get bored because there is no rugby.
But why the rugby?
Funny story how I started, though. So I was 18 and I was at Vesbar with Scott.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if you remember Scott, but yeah, he was a mate of mine. And this guy comes up to me and goes, "Oh, do you want to come have a look at this?" And I was like, "Oh, what's this?" And he goes, "Oh, it's rugby refereeing." And I was like, "Oh, yeah." And I literally started it just to piss my dad off because he was a rugby league referee. Yeah. And he was quite well known in New Zealand for rugby league refereeing. I was like, yeah, I'll referee rugby to piss him off. Also, I was absolutely shit-faced at the time. But...
as we were back then.
Yeah. But as I kept going through the ranks and everything like that, and I was like, well, this is my out. I can tune everything off from work, studying, everything, and I can just be like, I'm on a field by myself. I can just be me. I can just do whatever I want. And it's fitness as well. So I always thought I was mentally fit as well, which was great. And even when I was in the army as well, I didn't get out of work, which annoyed me. Yeah, rugby players get a week off, and then my boss would be like, "Oh yeah, you can have half the day off to go referee rugby game." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, all right, thanks, boss." You still have to go into the kitchen at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then be like, "Oh yeah, at 12 o'clock you can go." I'm like, "Oh, thanks, guys." But I saw that as my output going, I actually have a really good passion for this, and I'm taking it even more serious this year because I've joined a gym because our number one referee has actually retired. So I'm actually going to be gunning for that number one position this year, and I reckon I can do it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be...
So that's an awesome out. There's also like some whys in there, but like let's think about like obviously the hospitality. You went into the hospitality industry, gone down the chefing, then the army, being a chef there, then working at the bar, obviously, and now doing winemaking. What would you say is why you stay in those those hospitality ones that serve people, the serving the end community? Why would you say you do those?
I just unfortunately, I'm one of those weird hospitality people that I actually like dealing with people. Like there's some people you're just like, yeah, you can just jog on, mate.
Yeah.
Like they're drunken idiots. But there's those certain groups of people that they really appreciate what you do for a living. I mean, the hospitality industry it's not the greatest paid industry in the world ever. But you get job satisfaction, like when a guy will shake your hand going, "Hey, mate, thanks for a really great night. You looked after us really well." I remember clearly a really good one. We looked after the All Blacks coaching staff during the Lions tour. And Steve Hansen obviously was a coach at the time, and he goes to me and goes, "Oh," because I introduced myself and I said, "Oh, yeah, hey, I'm Brad." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, cool, Brad." He goes to me and goes, "Oh, Brad, have you got any sparkling water?" And I said, "If you open your referee eyes, it's right in front of you, mate." And he was like, "Piss off." I was like, "Cool." It was Steve Hansen, Ian Foster. They both came up to me. They shook my hand, said, "Hey, mate, thanks for a really great night. The food was amazing. The service outstandable." It's those kind of nights that people in hospitality like.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you get the Karen of the world, and we're just
as you do in any job, obviously being law enforcement. You get more Karens than you get thank you very much. But
Oh,
so it's that job satisfaction. That what is it about the job satisfaction that lights you up? Like, what's the core underlying thing, do you feel?
It's just making people happy, because that's what the service industry is. It's you're just making people happy.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be the simplest of things, making them a really tasty margarita, or a chef, like the chef just makes a special meal for them. Or, I mean, I worked at Chibo and Parnell, and it's like every birthday that we'd have, we'd sing them happy birthday. All the staff would get around and we'd sing them happy birthday. And it's those simple things. I mean, I took my sister there at Chibo for her 25th birthday, and I talked to the boys. I was like, hey, it's my sister's birthday. And they're like, Brad, it's really cool. I hadn't worked there for about a year, and they're like, no, it's fine. We'll sort you out. We drank champagne and we had a great night, my sister and I. And then I said to my sister, I said, order the salted caramel pavlova. Trust me, it's the best thing in the world. And they did it, and they all came around. I mean, the owner was there, Jeremy, general manager Brad was there, and all the boys, they all came around. They all sang happy. Even the chefs came out, and they all sang happy birthday for my sister. Awesome. It was really, really amazing. And it's those small things that make the industry that little bit better.
So now we're jumping forward to obviously now getting into the new industry, learning something new, winemaking. How do you apply that to your winemaking so you stay from getting burned out in it?
I mean, at the moment, like when we're harvesting, I'll end up working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. Mm-hmm. And for how I look at it, it's like, well, I've got to try and keep my team positive. And it's hard work because they also will get burnt out. Yeah. But every time they turn up to work, I'll be like, hey guys, let's smash this out. I put on music and all sorts of stuff, and just to try and keep them motivated. And after work, I just come home and just tune out.
Yeah. So if you were able to take, obviously you got that thing from the path, from the hospitality, you've done all the chefing, all the working in the bars and stuff, so that you can see that that interaction, that joy from those, the people that you serve in that. How could you apply that to what you currently do with that end product, or even with your day-to-day staff?
I mean, I even did it today, actually. We had a couple of our Kiwi casuals. They were a little bit scared and a bit skeptical and a bit nervous about what was going on. I was just entertain them. I mean, it's just entertaining. Just having jokes, having a laugh, and be like, hey guys, let's have a laugh. Yeah. I mean, and the comedy with it just comes out, and it's like, oh, and you just talk. It's pretty much in layman, not even layman's term, in hospitality, you just talk shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you go to any decent restaurant and you can just talk to someone and you can make them smile and make them laugh, you're just talking shit.
Yeah. So it's just bringing that same thing that you used to do with customers in the bar, and that it's bringing that excitement to them, bringing that joy, bringing that camaraderie, that just having fun.
Yeah. I mean,
and a good experience.
Even at working at Vez Bar, you can tell certain students to, if a student was being a dickhead, you could say, oi, fuck off.
Yeah.
But there were certain students that you can always get along with, and like regulars, and you'd be like, hey guys, like they'll just walk through the door and you can just start pouring them a jug of tui straight away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put on the bar with a cold glass and be like, done.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's that experience side of stuff. I like to hear that. That's awesome, man. So Bradley, we'll start to wrap up here. So what would be the number one thing you would tell viewers or listeners to help them to prevent themselves from going through burnout in an extreme level, or if they're in it, to counter it?
I think mainly just take care of yourself. That should be your priority, is just look after yourself mainly, and just do something that you enjoy.
Yeah.
I mean, at the moment, I'm enjoying going to the gym, which is really weird. Hate going to the gym. I used to hate going to the gym.
I always tried to get you to go to the gym. It never worked. It's good to see you going. It only took 15 years.
Even when I was in the army, I hated going to the gym. Every fitness test and every like battle efficiency test, I hated doing them.
I was gonna say, how'd you pass the RFL?
I've got a secret, and this is the secret that you're going to hear. So the night, like 2 days before the RFL, every beer I would have, I would do 30 press ups.
Gotcha. That's what you've heard it here. So for those that don't know the RFL, Bradley, tell us what the RFL is, because I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but I want to hear it from you because you've done it probably how many times?
Oh, too many times. So it's a minimum at my age when I was in the army. So it's a 2.4 kilometer run, and you have to do it in 10 minutes 30.
Yep.
Minimum of 25 press ups, minimum for guys. I don't know what girls. I think girls are 18. And I can't remember the amount of partial curls, but I could always do 133, which is the maximum.
Yeah.
But I could always, so 2 days before I would do 20 press ups, or 20 or 30 press ups every beer I'd have, and I'll drink. I'm not proud of this. A 24 box of Tui.
So you took it back to uni days.
Oh, yeah. It was cheap in Palmy. The Magatonoka Brewery was only up the road.
Well, there you go. You've heard how to pass the RFL and the push-ups in the RFL at least.
But now I'm older. I couldn't do it.
No. As you get older, it does change, doesn't it?
Definitely not. I couldn't do it.
So let's talk about the army real quick. So if somebody was wanting, because obviously in the army, I've talked to so many people, it's kind of like the police. You get burned out quite easily there. What would be your number one piece of advice for people wanting to get, that are in or wanting to go into the military?
The military's changed a lot since I've been in. They don't yell at you as much anymore, supposedly, from what I've heard. They're a bit more PC.
Yeah,
which is a bit shit.
Especially in war and guys don't care.
I mean, if you're a single guy and you're in the army, you've got job security. There's a house. You live in barracks, so there's a roof over your head. You go to the mess, it costs like $30-40 a week for food, and it's a really good lifestyle.
Yeah. What would be your number one thing for preventing burnout within the military?
It's just talking to someone, really, because I actually got burnt out in the military. After the Christchurch earthquake, I was completely burnt out.
What do you believe caused that?
I spent 6 months in Christchurch. We drove down that same day that it happened, and it was actually just a dreadful experience. I'm still talking to someone now about it. It's just, and I can't stand earthquakes. I freaking hate them. Yeah, that's hard work. But the military it's more of a family. It's like the police. I think it would be like the police. It's a family.
It is.
Ngāti Tūmatoanga, it is a family. Once you're part of that family, you are always a member of that family. I've still got mates in there, and I could catch up. I was up in Auckland in November, and I went out to Papakura and had a beer with them, and it was like we hadn't missed a beat.
Yeah. It's like the police. It's one of those camaraderie. When you're willing to stand on a line and die with somebody else, or have somebody back and put your life on the line for them, you create a different bond. It's a different level. But like you said, you can get burned out real easy in it, especially if you don't talk. I love that. That was the one thing for me, especially when I was in the police. I didn't talk about the stuff that I saw dealt with. 1 week I went to 6 suicides in 1 week and did 4 of the advising jobs with it. Didn't talk about it at all until about a year later, when I was about 6 months later, when I was like tapped out.
Yeah.
Far gone.
Part of the moment, every now and again I'll have a bad night.
Yeah.
And I'll go back to the Christchurch earthquake, and she wakes me up. She's like, go back to sleep. And I was like, I can't.
I can't. I'm crying here. I need to talk. Which is good.
No, she dragged it out of me one day.
It's good.
And that was after she tricked me, actually, bitch. Yeah, we had a couple of bottles of wine. And I made dinner, and yeah, she eventually got it all out of me,
Yeah.
which was a bit hard, but yeah, she got it out of me.
And let me ask you this, Bradley, real quick. And I love that we're getting into this, with that, because it's so important. Like, it's so important. I teach my clients that I'm trying to get into the police that I teach all my normal coaching clients about it. Talking is the number one therapeutic thing you can do. And it's not talking to get a response. It's talking so it releases the pressure it has on you. So let me ask you, the more you talk about it, does it actually release the pressure for you?
It does. It actually does, because unfortunately, when we left Christchurch, we didn't have anyone to talk to. Like, everything that we saw, we didn't have anyone to talk to. I mean, it probably took me, well, what year are we in now? 21?
21. It's been 10 years.
It's probably been
10 years.
Yeah, it's actually, this is the first, 10 years is the first time I've actually gone and talked to someone about it. And I wasn't forced to, but partner suggested to going and talk to someone.
Yeah.
I think she was just getting a bit annoyed that I was waking her up.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably. But
and,
still.
And a byproduct, she cared about you.
Yeah, no. A little bit.
A little bit.
But yeah, no, so it's taken a while for me to come to terms with, I wouldn't say a demon in my life, but that part of my life that I haven't addressed in myself, which every now and again it will burn me out.
Yeah. I'm glad you identified that, because it does. And I say this all the time to people, it does burn you out holding on to those traumatic things, and it digs into underneath your skin. It gets underneath you, and they bubble back up, and they explode, and they explode in ways that you don't even recognize that they're going to explode.
Yeah.
At an inopportune time, and you're like, what the hell was that? And then actually, if you look at it, you're like, it deals with that. Oh, and then especially guys, and we're the worst at it, because it's a culture thing. We've been ingrained to staunch up.
Yeah.
Especially if we've been at any time frontline, if you've been police, military, fire, any kind of frontline kind of work, especially police and military, because it's been in this ingrained culture of, you got to look the part, and you're superhuman almost, because you have this uniform or badge or vest or whatever, on you.
Well, I also think that's the New Zealand, unfortunately, it's like the New Zealand motto almost, is just suck it up and deal with yourself.
And then you have that, and here in New Zealand, on top of that, it's the tall poppy. She'll be right, or we're fine. Yeah. You're okay.
Yeah, tall poppy. Yeah, she'll be right, mate. She'll be right. Deal with it.
When really, it's actually more vulnerable to actually discuss and talk about these things, and actually be open. This is why my thing, and you see it all the time. I talk about my thing all the time. Yeah, I went through PTSD. I say it probably at least a dozen times a day to people, at least half a dozen. I know at least. I went through PTSD. I went through PTSD, depression, anxiety, ultimately massive burnout, and I left the police because of it all. I went to suicide, blah, blah, blah. And people are like, oh, I was like, that's reality. That is what, and by me saying it literally holds no power over me at all anymore. It's literally.
I think there's one moment that really sticks out. I was on Camp Picket. So we patrolled the camp. And I can't remember what happened, but a guy tried to hang himself with his bootlaces.
Yeah.
So we had to put him into the cells overnight, and I had to keep an eye on him all the time, which is fine. But then we're talking to him, and he'd done 2 or 3 tours to Afghanistan, and he was just completely gone. He was just like, I want to go. Yeah. And we're like, no, mate. It's like, you've got 2 kids, and we're trying to talk to him. And unfortunately, this is what happens in the military sometimes. I mean, there's even an incident years and years and years ago. A guy held himself up in a house in the housing area in Linton with a gun. And it was like, he was just completely burnt out. And it's like, my family rang me up and they're like, is it you? And I was like, what? It's not me. As a joke. But I was like, no. But I knew the NCOs and everything that were part of that. And they were like, yeah, this guy just needed help.
And I think that's the biggest thing to talk about, because we talk about military and police because it is the in a way you can call it the pinnacle of where this stuff happens.
Yeah.
Because our brains are not designed, especially, you said the guy, 3 tours in Afghanistan. My cousin did 2 tours, which are 12-month tours. No, they're 6-month tours in the US. The 12-month tours, I think they are. I can't remember.
6 months here.
Yeah, I think they're 12 months in the States. And
he end up being about 8 months because they go off and do training and everything everywhere else.
But he was an MP over there, and he ended up, his platoon got blown up by a suicide bomber in that. And but you go over there and you deal with all this traumatic stuff, and you see all this trauma stuff, and even as a cop, you see trauma stuff all the time, every single day. Human brains are not designed to see that much trauma in that short amount of time. And so when you have that, and then you add onto the concrete on top of that, especially with guys, even with females, they're not quite as bad, but we don't talk about it. We just macho it up and go, we'll be right. It concretes on top. And then you get to a stage like where you did, where you saw these guys doing with this. You saw Christchurch and that. And then there's, in a way, almost that helplessness feeling. What do I do? How can I help this guy?
Yeah.
But not knowing what to do.
Yeah. The Christchurch Earthquake was an absolutely horrible experience, and I would not wish that on anyone.
We almost got sent down there because I was at police college when it happened. We almost got sent down there to help the military out on checkpoints and that. But then they decided we couldn't do anything, so they decided to just send us home instead for our break. Instead of sending us to Christchurch. But yeah, I can only imagine. I know people that were down there, and that it was not fun. For those that don't know, back in 2011, a massive earthquake happened in Christchurch that killed, how many people did it kill?
125, I think.
Yeah, like about 100 and something. And so it was very horrific. Earthquakes didn't stop straight away, but yeah, no, I feel for you, man, and I'm glad you're getting help. I'm glad you're talking to people and working through all that stuff. It's awesome. I'm proud of you, man.
Mrs. didn't like getting woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Hey, but it's always a catalyst. Like, I remember I've got a few catalysts for me. It's I almost cheated on my wife. That was a big one for me. But also I remember my wife, us getting home and her going, "What's wrong?" And I go, "There's nothing wrong." She goes, "Well, my dad, my father-in-law, he came to her and went, 'What's wrong with Chris? He said 2 words tonight over like 6 hours being at our house.' You know me, I'm a fucking chatterbox. You can't shut me up."
I reckon you can't be cheating on your missus either.
Yeah, exactly. I almost cheated on her. I caught myself, and I was like, but those are 2 big ones that stand out to me that I was like, wow, something needs to change.
If you did, if you had cheated on your missus, I would have knocked you out. You know that.
I know you would have. She would have shot my balls off. Don't worry.
I would literally, because your wife is actually a really nice person when I met her, and yeah, if you did cheat on her, I would knock you out.
Yeah, exactly. I'd expect you to knock me out. But this is the thing, guys, and this is for everybody who's listening, is, if you're going through something, if you're talking, if you feel like, if people are saying to you, you're not yourself, what's going on, what's wrong, don't take it as a hit at you. Take it as people care about you. People are going,
exactly.
People are going, something's not, you don't feel like yourself, and don't take it as, look at yourself and go, am I myself? Am I who I want to be? Am I the person that actually I want to, imagine if you died tomorrow. Are you who you want to actually be? And that's the biggest thing. So, Bradley, before we wrap up, I just want to ask, is there anything else you'd like to say to viewers or, viewers and listeners, any last pieces of advice or just even, knowledge bombs?
I think the main thing is if you're having trouble, just talk to someone. That is the main thing, is just reach out to someone. I mean, it doesn't have to be someone professional or best friend, anything. Just reach out and just have a chat. Really, it's just the most important thing you do is just talk to someone. I mean, it could be someone you don't even like, which I've even done before, which has been great actually, because I'm like, I just want to just talk to someone about something. Just talk.
Or even something you don't know.
Yeah. Someone you don't know is probably the best person to talk to.
Yeah, because one, you can get new advice. This is what I did on my motorcycle trip. You can get new advice from people that you don't know because you don't know them, and it doesn't really matter what they think. But also, it just gets it out there.
Yeah.
You might learn something from them as well. That's awesome, Bradley. Yes,
they won't judge you, or they might judge you a little bit, but they won't. They'll be like, "Oh, okay, that's cool."
But
I'm not going to judge you as much.
Yeah. But it's also somebody that you don't know. So it doesn't really actually matter all that much. Yeah. And so yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks, Brad. Thanks, Bradley, for being on the show. It's been awesome. It's been good to catch up as well. For those that are listening, make sure you yeah, man. Make sure you like, subscribe. Send us a comment. If there's anybody that you want us to interview, let us know. If you learned something from this, let us know as well. And remember, if you feel like you are struggling, and like we said tonight so many times, talk. If you need somebody to talk to, we do run programs. We run coaching. We run things to help those that are suffering with burnout or feel like they might be doing it, or even they want to prevent it. And so, reach out to us.
Flick me a message.
Yeah, flick Bradley a message. He'll be there. Flick us a message and we can send it through to Bradley. We can get you guys in touch. It's fighttheburnoutpodcast@gmail.com. Just send us an email. We'll be happy to have a chat with you, get to know you a little bit. And this is how we perform at a high level. Like we even talked about tonight about, the hospitality. You get the high performers in there that aren't burned out. They're going to perform even better. So we want you to be that person. So till next time, remember, our motto here is train hard, test easy. That's both physically and mentally because you get tested every single day. So we want life to be easy so you can perform at your best and have the happiest life you want. Till next time, we love you all and talk soon.